Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Lethal League Blaze,
and welcome to another episode of the Chillening. So what I wanted to do today is, I've actually played this game for quite a bit. This is one of those games I kind of picked up in my own free time, just randomly through the days, and I have a lot of fun with it. But unfortunately online I do get my ass kicked quite a bit. So what we're gonna do today is I want to pop into some single, want to do some arcade mode with my favorite character and just have a good time with it today. Chillening, I just kind of try and relax a little bit, so what we're gonna do, arcade mode is like a 10 enemy long run. We're gonna do it with the Doom box with the Fuliculi colors, and it should be a real good time. Let's get to it. Now, I played this game quite a bit when it first came out, but I ended up kind of going away from it as time went on. But it's one of the most fun, like, momentum-based, it's a momentum-based fighting game, where your goal is to hit the enemy with this baseball. And your entire purpose is to try and speed up and hit the enemies with the ball as you go, and make sure you can actually return it to them and kind of gain momentum. So, it's quite fun. It's hard to kind of explain in the heat of the moment, honestly. It's a very scary game a lot of the time when speeds start going upwards. So, typically, if I try and explain what actually this game is about, this game has several different, like, styles of returns. It kind of has a rock, paper, scissors system, where it has a bunt, which is like... Here, let me get it off, one sec. Bunt is that. It's the small, like, knock up in the air, which slows down the ball and lets you kind of move things around. That's the special you can use to be able to get some extra, like, speed on the thing. Doom boxes goes directly toward the opponent. And we have a Y, which is grab, which lets you end up countering people that are... It's mostly for people that end up using their own parry, which is when you hit the ball and then hold it. Like this, it actually has like a little like blue effect around it. Typically, the actual grab is used for that, so you won't see it used too much inside the like bot matches. But I think it's one of the most fun games to honestly watch and play, in my opinion. It's just, it's so satisfying to see the game get picked up in faster and faster methods and just keep on going. There we go. Kick the ass of a raptor, which is apparently voiced by Takahata 101. Or 101? I think that's his name. He's a cool guy. But yeah, I usually play Doombox, and I actually play this game quite often with a friend of mine. So, I actually haven't played it since roughly about April or so, but I want to get back to it. It's honestly just so fun. And obviously there are different like styles of hits, like there's a downward hit, there's like an in-the-air diagonal one. There's a lot of like, hey, now this is going this direction. Good luck dealing with this shit. And it's my favorite. Hey. Give it here. Give it here. Honestly, Doombox, his main feature that I usually use is the fact that he can double hit a ball twice before it actually bounces off a wall. So like that. So you'll see here. Ow. Okay, well. You'll end up seeing me, I'll do like 2 hits on the way down on things often, because he has like a little flight mechanic he has. And it just works out. But that's a GG to you. And you can go away. GG. Hell yeah. Actually, I have run through all the arcade modes of every single character inside the game, because there was a while where I just kind of got dedicated to this game quite a bit. I tried to complete all the story, all of the like different things it has. The issue is when you start getting into advanced tech and trying to like predict people to parry or not parry, that's the place where I get bad. This game, the community isn't the biggest in the world, so the people that do play actively and like play online all the time are unfortunately the people that I can't handle too well. Like, I remember I fought the #1 guy in the game a few times when I was playing the game, and then once again when I played inside April. And they're just too much. There's like a constant just hit, parry back and forth that I just can't keep up with. But maybe someday. At one point I wanted to be competitive in this game and actually try out, like, properly doing things. That didn't last very long, honestly. That really... just doesn't always stick around, unfortunately. It doesn't help that this game also the community that I found for it isn't the biggest in the world, but they're very dedicated, so it's cool. You know, so a few months ago, I went on or I guess it was like last year, I went on a binge of like, hey, who's currently streaming this game right here for Lethal League Blaze? And I ended up sending a message, or I went into the chat of a virtual YouTuber that was playing the game at the time. And that seemed kind of cool, you know? I find that to be like a neat thing. Like, you can use your 3D model to have your outward persona be that because that's how you identify. I respect it, you know, you do you. But as time went on, like, I don't want to like say names or anything, but apparently the VTuber got like fired for getting drunk or something when going to a practice, because apparently they have like virtual YouTuber practice every Saturday morning. I didn't know about it. It was super weird. It was super weird to actually hear about, but this game had me meet that person and I was not ready. Honestly, I still talk to them a bit these days, but they've started like a comic series now, which is kind of weird and neat. And I respect it, honestly. It's so weird how the world ends up working in those ways, you know? Like, so this week, I've been saying that there's been a lot of cosmic jokes happening in my life. And what I mean by that, also I had like 1 pixel for a while. That is all okay. Recently, I was out with friends and I was like sitting in a beanbag chair, just kind of chilling around, and I was like, you know what, guys? I really want to be coddled by a cute girl. And that was like a passing thing that I was just saying, right? As like a joke, as like, oh, whatever. Not a huge deal. That's just a thing. 2 days later, while I was going to go to an edible art thing, of which didn't end up working out, because unfortunately, there are some time constraints on that, and I got there at like 9:30 when it was closing at 10. So by the time I got there, it was already like mostly over. So on the way out of the place that was making the edible art was this random girl I've been talking to for a bit. And like, we're friends, right? Like we talk at the actual group, we have a good time. I don't really know her too well personally, but I'm like, you know what? That sounds good. I'm gonna do that. So we head back to her place because she ends up inviting me over, because I was like, I mean, I have nowhere to go and the edible art's over, so I guess I just wasted a fare for nothing. And like in Toronto, the bus fare is like $3.25 per ride, so it's sizable. And it's like, it would be $3.25 there and $3.25 back, so that's $6.50 to waste, you know? Not worth it. So when you get invited out with a friend that you don't mind too much, you're like, you know what, sure, that sounds good. That's all right. So I go over, first we go to like a park, we chill around for a while. We end up going into this weird like hobbit hole in the wall, and it turns out to be her house. It goes like 3 floors into the ground, and she has like an area above the house that's open that you can look at the stars at. It's honestly really, really nice. It's so weird to think that that's inside like a suburban neighborhood, but I respect it. So I end up going into there. We went to like Walmart at one point. We got some ice cream. I'm not a very sweets oriented person myself, honestly. I like to like bake and make snacks and stuff, but I don't snack often, honestly. It's not really my kind of thing. So I was like, it's okay. I'll just relax. You have some ice cream. It is all good. So we end up going through the day. She's kind of weird, honestly. I thought she was weird before, like a little bit. Like she's very energetic, I think is the word I would use. She's just very excitable a lot of the time, and she ends up talking on about different things and goes off on tangents. Like, for example, we were getting things ready. We went and looked at the like sky for a bit, and that was cool. She mentioned her ex-husband and how they were separated very recently, and how she was trying to fill up her cracks using like dating profiles, and I was like a plumber. and she started laughing. I was like, yeah, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I don't know if she meant like she was getting hookups and stuff, but like, okay. So we end up getting downstairs and we toss on the Netflix, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want something that's like, I want something fun. I want something that's like comedy oriented, but still really enjoyable to watch. Any ideas? And she goes, you know what? My ex-husband looks like James Franco. Do you want to do This Is the End? She didn't actually phrase it like she was pitching as my husband looks like it first, but she ended up mentioning that her ex-husband looks like James Franco when we start This Is the End. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Sure. That, yeah. Okay. Cool that you're talking about this James Franco man, but that works out. So we start watching the movie, and apparently through the movie, she starts to get anxious about just different things. Like, oh no, Michael Cera got impaled. For some reason, I am now, like, shaking and super anxious and dying. Don't know why. I don't know if she just really liked Michael Cera and how his character was portrayed inside the movie. He's a cocaine addict inside that movie, by the way. But I respect it. You know, you gotta respect that kind of thing. So the day moves on. And like, we're getting closer to roughly about like 12, 1. The movie keeps on going, and she gets too stressed through the movie. There's one point where Emma Watson is like talking about how they're gonna sexually, or people are gonna talk about how they were gonna sexually assault her or something. It was weird. That movie is very strange for someone you just met. But that's okay. But she gets too anxious about it because she's not a fan of the mentioning of that. So she says, let's change it. I'm like, okay, let's change it. You can put on something that makes you less stressed. And she goes, oh, okay, I know exactly the thing. So she puts on a mockumentary series on Netflix about a teenager who apparently drew dicks on a car. And drew dicks on a lot of cars, and it just has a lot of like weird poop jokes. But like, it's all right. It has its comedy. It seems all right. I don't remember what the name was, but it was like a mockumentary series, so I imagine you could probably find it pretty easily. Netflix has quite a few of them, but I imagine the dick drawing is pretty evident, I think. But we start watching that, and that's all right. And she's anxious. I'm holding her to make her feel better. But I'm super sketched out because this is what I expected today, honestly. Like, on that day as well, I may have had some wacky tobacco in the morning, so it's not like I was going through the day completely sober, but it wasn't, like, enough to impair me. Because, like, I don't know, it was chill. It was very early in the morning, so it was several multiple hours earlier. But I was just, like, trying to coddle her and make her feel better. And my mind goes, oh... well, I guess I did ask for this the opposite way around, but I asked for coddling to happen, so I guess that's a cosmic joke from the world. However, as we continue to watch the dick drawing, just general miniseries, and I'm holding her and trying to make her feel better, I start hearing the door behind me open. I start hearing a key turn in a lock, and... my immediate thought is I am now dead. I am now a dead man, of which it is going to be murdered by this woman's ex-husband that she lives with. And I didn't know much about him. All I knew was his name was Batman. And he was very, you know, he was very, just generally, he was polyamorous. He had a good time. He was just pretty chill. So I hear the door open and I turn around to a mystery man in a motorcycle helmet who walks in with his own key at 2 a.m. And I turn to the girl and look at her and I'm like, hey, what's up? And she starts to introduce me to her friend. And I'm like, so your husband, hey, you're the husband. Nope. Apparently, this was another, of which was her friend, who also had a key to her apartment and was in a polyamorous relationship with her and the other back in the day. He was coming to pick up a key to his motorcycle, apparently, and that's why he had his helmet on. He mentioned that he thought that she would be asleep, so he didn't actually think to knock. So it was just me and her, and me trying to make her, like, not have a panic attack on a couch, and him just walking in randomly. And I'm just looking down. I'm just like the most anxious mess in the world. And I'm just like, that's, whoa, man. What okay, well, cool to see you, Batman. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna head upstairs to go find my motorcycle key now. Be right back. So he heads upstairs. I look at her. She looks at me. I look down to my hands, start twiddling my thumbs, and I'm just kind of like panicking. What do I do in that scenario? What is my answer? The answer is there's none. That's just your night. So naturally, he ends up leaving, and I'm like, bye, Batman. Hopefully you have yourself a good one. Just have fun on your motorcycle at this 2 a.m. After that, I am just so unbelievably exhausted. Unfortunately, the Toronto, like, all of the, whatchamacallit, the subways stop around like 1 a.m. or so. So I couldn't actually get home if I wanted to. So I was like, hey, you go brush your teeth, gal. You go, like, get ready for bed and everything. I'm gonna sleep down here and get my bed ready. I didn't bring a toothbrush, so it's my bad, but I'll just kind of figure stuff out. End up using, like, my finger to brush my teeth, because that's how that goes. But that's not a huge deal. She heads to bed. I wake up at, like, 6 a.m. and end up heading out early the next morning. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually start up until, like, I think 7 or so I had to wait a little bit. But that was my night last Thursday, and that was just what happened. And that felt like one big cosmic joke, because I mentioned the one-off line of wanting to be coddled by someone, and end up being like, oh, you want to be caught? Well, here's the person. Haha. XD. It doesn't help that, like, recently as well, I mentioned a friend of mine who passed away 4 years ago to a person from college because they were talking about stuff. And the day after, I discovered that she apparently didn't die 4 years ago, and instead she now streams on Twitch and is a lewd cosplayer that, like, just constantly has a titty window on all her cosplays. She did, like, the diva cat girl with the boob window. She did the, what do you call it? She did the 2B with the boob window. So I respect it, man. I for some reason, just recent times, it has been a cosmic joke around me. Like, I was even mentioning, I get a lot of anxiety around the date August 15th because my weird, like, Kagero project days messed me up real bad. But because I mentioned that, like, 2 days ago to a friend of mine, yesterday, one of the assignments that I have to do is part of creating a workshop, and the workshop has to be hosted on August 15th. So in the span of, like, 2 weeks, I've had 3 circumstances where I've mentioned something in passing, and just somehow the world goes, oh, sounds like you wanna actually, it's like I'm being made fun of by the world itself. Shit sucks, man. Yeah, last couple weeks have been so strange. It seems like these weird things happen in, like, big chunks. Like, I'll go a couple of weeks with nothing happening and just kind of chill a little bit, and then just the weirdest stuff will happen. Like, I was in a pretty good schedule of, like, oh, I'll have college, and then I'll do my workshop stuff, and I'll do my work and YouTube. And then this week, I suddenly went sailing like a couple of days ago, and that stuff happened as well. And, like, this week I'm making dream boxes and then going sailing a little bit later as well. It's just, there's been a lot of stuff. And I've come to realize maybe I should stop just saying yes to things, because it's slowly making me meet just the weirdest, terrifying people. But you know what? That's the life. That's a youth you can believe in. And that has been arcade mode with Doombox. There you go. And that actually was the finale of this. Oh, that was fun. Also an autopilot for most of it, but you know what? It was a good autopilot. Maybe I should actually name this, like, the world's cosmic jokes instead of actually naming it Chillening, because it's less chill. Just kind of like a story time thing. I'm gonna do that. Hell yeah. But thank you for watching this today. I just kind of want to sit down with this game a little bit and have a good time with it. Honestly, chilling with a game like this, and a game that I'm so familiar with like this, it makes it so easy for me, at least, to just kind of zone out and just have a good time with things. I love it. It's my favorite. But for right now, I did want to say, actually just going to back out of this because that's about all it is. Thank you for watching this episode of the Chillening or whatever it ends up being. I might come back to do more of this game, honestly, because like I like to play as Jet, I like to play as Toxic. All these characters are pretty fun, and honestly, it might not be a bad time to just kind of run through things and I don't know, tell stories and crack jokes and have a good time. But for right now, thank you for watching this episode. I'll see you guys later, and take it easy. Bye for now, everybody.